Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I really did not want to make this video, but unfortunately, welcome to another episode of Why Nobody Plays Lucy Edition. My voice sounds weird. That is because it is 6:30 a.m. in the morning. I figured that it was a perfect time to record a YouTube video. We'll see how that goes. In any event, Lucy, she was the most highly anticipated character as soon as they announced season 4. Our very first guest character, and a character from a series that was beloved by many. Cyberpunk Edge Runners. It was sick. It was fire. Lucy, she was sick. She was fire. And honestly, she fit really, really well with the Guilty Gear style. Players were coming back in droves to play Lucy. Shoot, I made probably 10 videos on her in a week. Needless to say, there was a ton of hype for this character. Now, when looking at her character trailer, there was actually a lot of very interesting things that we were pretty excited for. Her monowire debuff allowed her to combo from throw and also set up for 50-50s. Her quick hack super looked insane. She was fast, she had long buttons, she had mix-ups, she had a DP, and shoot, she even had an insta-kill of some sort. We thought we were going to get a character with an insane amount of depth that the lab monsters were going to really get in there, learn a bunch of quick hack stuff, mix the opponent to death, and what could go wrong? Now, before jumping into the doom and gloom, let's actually talk about what is good about the character. First things first, her design is absolutely sick. I mean, it's been a month and I already can't even tell that she is a freaking guest character. She just fits so well into the Guilty Gear universe. I mean, the way that she moves, the way that she plays, she just looks really, really good. Shout outs Arxis, you guys did a good job. Now, gameplay wise, one of the big benefits to her is that she is really, really fast, okay? And now it's very, very hard to make a character this fast bad, and that's honestly true. I wouldn't even call her bad because her neutral is very, very strong. Her being fast, plus the fact that she has one of the best 5Ks in the entire game. This thing, I believe, high crushes a lot of things. It's very, very good. It leads into knockdown, right? It's super duper strong. It can be used as a tick throw. She also has some very long buttons, right? Even compared to Kai, right? She just completely outspaces a ton of the cast, right? She's really able to bully a lot of matchups. For example, Abba has a really, really tough time against her because just the fact that her far slash and 2/ just are at super non-committal ranges makes it very, very annoying to try to poke at her. Next, her monowire debuff is actually really, really good. If you guys don't know what it does, right? As soon as you hit somebody with a partially charged version of the monowire, it applies this, I believe it's called a short nerve circuit debuff to them. Think of it as Testament Stain, except it only activates whenever you hit them with another monowire type move. This actually leads to a ton of really messed up situations. For example, you have to hit them with her jump heavy, which applies enough hit stun for you to actually be able to land and then pick up the combo. You're actually able to get a combo off of her throw, which is extremely rare for a character. Even things like her 2K 2D, right? She's actually able to get a full combo off of it. This move right here, her lariat, right? If short nerve circuit is applied to them, right, you have all of a sudden this very super duper quick lariat style move. I mean, that joint is 16 frames. You're not going to be reacting to that you can actually combo from. Her short nerve circuit debuff alongside of her quick hack super actually makes it so that she has a really, really good confirms off of certain hits. Even just going back to this super duper quick lariat style move, if you cancel this into her quick hack super, boom, you're actually able to get a full conversion off of it with a ton of poison stacks, right? And it does a lot of damage. That was just one small example, but there's actually tons and tons of different combos that you can optimize with quick hacks. Being able to stack poison, using your blue wild assault, and really just being able to tack on damage. She has a lot of that, which is pretty good. I touched on this before, but she actually has some pretty respectable mix. I mean, this lariat move, being able to go into a cross up is pretty gosh darn good. I mean, it's not the fastest cross up, but we're gonna get into that later, but it is very, very respectable. Same with just being able to hit your opponent with her rising jump H. It's very, very Johnny coded, or it's not nearly as fast as something like Johnny's Mistfinder overhead or Biken's Tatami, right? For example, this is going to be 16 plus 4 pre-jump frames. It's going to be about a 20 frame reaction, but it's very good. Like sometimes it's very, very hard to react to, especially if you're kind of like around here in this range of your opponent. You just chuck it out. That in tandem with frame trapping with low, right? And also just being able to get a combo off of her throw when they have short nerve circuit on, makes her mix actually pretty respectable. Speaking of her throw, let's see if I can do this first time. Well, that was a little too obvious, but she can actually get a pseudo 50-50. Oh, well, hold on. I can do it. Yeah, something like that. She can get like a very tricky pseudo 50-50 off her throw, which is pretty good. And getting throws is not even going to be that difficult because her strike throw is pretty gosh darn respectable. A lot of it is being carried by her speed. I mean, the fact that like you could be at this range and just whoop, you know, like it's very, very tricky to not get thrown by this character. She's very, very fast. It almost feels comparable to how like Chip is really good at strike throw, right? It's like when he throws you, it's really hard to react to like the initial dash. That's kind of the situation here. Like she's good. She's gonna scoop you up. I guarantee it. In assisting her scooping you the FUD up, her Blue Wild Assault is actually one of the best in the business. I'm going to set the opponent to only guard the first hit, and Blue Wild Assault into her monowire or her partially charged monowire is a gapless block string. So you're talking about a gapless block string that leaves you +7 guard crush in your opponent's face, in which your throw, you can actually get a combo off of it. That's really, really good. Last but not least, she is the first and only character who was actually released with a insta-kill. What it is that essentially if your opponent was not going to die, let me show you these two combos. So if you notice, Kai doesn't really die there, right? Now if I do this exact same combo but with 100 tension, then he dies. So what it essentially, how it works is that if your opponent was going to die anyway, barring like a little bit of like buffer, it's maybe like a 5% buffer, then it'll do this whole like full animation thing. It'll look really, really cool. Right, you hit them with the super, you jump into their mind, you upload 50 million petabytes of furry porn straight to the dome, and then they explode, right? Yeah, it's nice. It's really cool. So now that I've sung Lucy's praises, it is time to have a conversation about the bad. To my first point, you've already probably noticed her average damage is very low. Very, very, very low. Even like this combo right here, right, which is I guess considered her more optimal combo, right? It does a decent amount of damage, right? You might be like, oh wow, that was actually a pretty good amount. But just getting certain hits like this, right, which is the hits you're probably going to be getting anyway, or even getting a hit like this, right, you're not going to be doing a ton of damage. And this is made especially clear if you get confirmed off of your mix-ups, right? So like doing things like this, you'll notice I'm just not hurting him at all. And you might be like, well, as long as you keep hitting him, it's no big deal, right? Well, yeah, sure, I guess. But the problem with that is that it takes the opponent way less time to kill me than it does for me to kill them. Now, a lot of these issues are rectified by the fact that you can do a ton of like poison debuff stacks and stuff like that. But as you already saw right there, it is very, very dependent on the fact that, hold on. I dropped the combo, but even still, it didn't even do that much damage. It is very, very dependent on the fact that you are, one, not close to the corner because the wall is going to break pretty much immediately before any of the poison stacks, and two, you actually get the right confirm and like are again not like you're a reputable, pretty good distance amount away from the corner in order to actually like do your full conversion, let all the poison stacks hit, then wall break, and then potentially super, then you might see some pretty decent damage. It's really hard to describe when you're just like looking at the numbers on the screen, but in an actual game, you just feel that you're not doing anything to your opponent. Moving on to my next point, she does not actually have good mix. What do I mean by that? Well, if you think about the ways of which she is to mix up the opponent, right? You have close slash and overhead, right? That's like the first way, right? First of all, this is pretty reactable, right? Again, it's not the most reactable thing, but you are gonna run into people, all right? And even yourself, who's gonna be like, oh, you know, like the camera moves up before she hits me, right? Like it's a 20 frame reaction, which is like pretty much the same as this. Well, I mean, it's 2 frames faster than this, but this one actually hits people way more because it's a lot more like inconspicuous, right? The startup animation of her jumping in the air and doing that, you could visibly see her, like it's not that good. And for this move, right, same thing. People have blocked this move by accident, right? It's 27 frames out of cancel, right? It's even 27 frames on whiff. I think the fastest, yeah, 27 frames is literally the fastest that I can make it. The camera moves up, right? She does a very, very obvious flip in the air, right? I hit people with this, yeah, but people have literally blocked it by accident. And the problem with blocking it by accident is that if my opponent were to insta block this move, then I get throw punished. Oh, goody. Now, speaking of her lariat, right? That's what I'm going to call this, is her lariat. This move is terrible. Okay, it's terrible. What do I mean by that? Well, essentially, right, if you don't space it, because there is a decent space where, like, yeah, she's -6, right? But she is at a pretty decently spaced position. And if your opponent tries to go for like a 2K, right? Kai, for example, can 2K 2D punish it. She can actually counter poke you with her 5K. Like that. This is what it would look like if I was not spaced properly, right? I get a full punish. Now with her speed, she is able to get at this range pretty well, right? So this is one thing I will say, that if you are a higher level Lucy player, you do really want to abuse that range, right? Because it is decent at that like very tip of the lariat. With that workaround aside, this move is -6. -6, man? Come on, dude. And it only gets worse. Her low follow-up is -12. Okay, it's -12. You're getting a micro dash close slash punish, buddy. You're gonna explode. And the overhead variation is -4. Now this is actually the safest option, right? You essentially get out of dodge, right? You push them back all the way. Nothing can really -4 punish you from this distance, right? Aside from the fact that if they insta block it, then you're cooked. But so many characters can do a delayed close slash and just be able to punish this move. Like, hold on. Yeah, something like that, right? Or even just trade. There have been many times where my opponent is flailing around like a fucking animal, right? And literally, they're just like able to get a full punish, right? Just like that. First try, by the way. And even if you did hit your opponent with this all day long, that is all you're getting. Look at how little damage that I did. Like, that's it. That's all you get, man. And yes, if they had the mono wire debuff, you do a little bit more. And yes, if you had the mono wire debuff and you had a quick hacks, you do a little bit more. But you're just you're throwing fucking toothpicks at your opponent, man. Next, I sung my praises about the fact that these moves are very, very long, right? And they are, and that's very, very nice. But at a higher level of play, these are actually extremely exploitable. Now, first things first, right? The fact that like the looping them in is like -8, and just doing the regular jab itself is -14. At least in situations where if you're just trying to stagger, right, you're just gonna be eating a ton of jabs all day long, because look at that, look. And then you want to loop them in, right, and then potentially do some like mono wire shenanigans, right? But if you do like a partially charged mono wire, you're gonna get caught. So there's like this weird like in between partially charged mono wire. That's pretty good, but you're not gonna get a ton of like reward off of it unless you like super duper cash out and stuff like that, right? It's decent, right? And you can play that game all day long, but the game is will I, won't I, mono wire smack you, right? And that's kind of all you're going to be playing. And even just this game plan is damaged by the fact that if you insta block the moves, you just don't get looped in at all. You just don't get looped in at all. There were so many times where like I would do something like this, right, and then completely whiff that, and then my opponent would just be able to run up on me and kill me because I freaking they insta block the second hit of this move. I try to press 5H, it completely whiffs. I'm -25. They do run up close slash, I die. because Lucy also has low health. Now 2S has the same amount of problems, but it also has a different set of problems where look, this move, right, is -12. The first one is like also -12. And the only thing you can cancel these moves into is 2H, which sounds good, but it also is very, very stubby. So you have instances where your opponent, if they do something like this, like faultless defense, both of your moves, right? Hold on. There are ranges where your 2H completely whiffs, and then you're -32 in their face, and it happens a lot, man. It happens way too much, way too freaking often, and I get close slash, and then I die. I don't like that. And now let's talk about the greatest thing of all. Her game plan is way too one-dimensional. So I didn't really mention this before, but out of her far slash Rekkas and her close slash, I guess, you know, chains or whatever, you can only really do 5H or 2H, right? That's kind of it. And you can't really like threaten a strike throw with this because it is so gosh darn, it's -8 and there's so much counterplay to it that even just trying to do something like this, right? That being -12 makes it so that like the only time you can really threaten with a strike throw is from her close slash, right? Which in itself is a 7-frame close slash, right? And it's a 7-frame +1 close slash, right? And so people who are just kind of like mashing jab, right? You cannot really force them to respect you. And so the way that you would force them to respect you is you would do a delay 2S or something like that, right? But the problem is that once you go into the first 2S, you are then committed into either the entire 2S string, right? Or some partially charged monowire shenanigans, which has a pretty decent gap. If your opponent's just fuzzy mashing, then they can just smack that gap the whole time, or run the risk of them FDing both hits of your 2S and then having your freaking 2H whiff, and then all of a sudden you're -30 like straight up in their face. And yes, you could go for a strike throw or go for a tick throw right after a 2S, but look at how long it takes, man. It's just so long. Now her K normals are very, very strong, right? But the problem is that you see her K normals and you're almost guaranteed to know that she's going to be strike throwing you, mostly because her frame traps into like her close slash and into like again like out of close slash are just really bad. And so at the very, very higher levels, you'll see these Lucys have a very, very like strong yet simple game plan of just doing this over and over and over again. Let's have a quick conversation about quick hacks. So one of the biggest draws to this character was this right here, right? Her quick hacks panel. There is 6 things on the screen, right? That you're able to do a number of combinations and a number of different orders of combinations for, right? A lot of things like, you know, poison, energy siphon, algorithm malfunction, resistance glitch, pacify, optics inhibition. It seems like there is so much depth to be explored here. But here is the problem. If I bust open this screen, 3 of them are incredibly useless. Energy siphon sucks. Resistance glitch sucks. Pacify sucks. And I explained a lot of like what they do in my quick hacks tutorial, right? And essentially it all boils down to you really only want contagion and algorithm malfunction because those are the only 2 things that actually do something that affects your opponent's health bar in a meaningful way. And you might do an optics inhibition stuff in order to get some mixes like this. And that's pretty gosh darn good, okay? But it's a gimmick. It's basically a gimmick. It just makes it a little bit harder to see the opponent, right? It's not that big of a deal. And so realistically speaking, you're only really going to be looking at 2 of the actual 6 moves, which does not feel very creative. And ultimately, a lot of those same combo paths boil down to, right? Oh, hold on. Can I hit this close slash link? Yes, I can. Combo into like that thing. I fudged it up. Hold on. Yep, combo into that, right? Bring him to the corner and do that, right? A lot of your combos are just going to be a different variation of that exact route that I showed you. And so all of a sudden, this super that looks like it has a crap ton of creativity has been just squeezed and optimized down to just 2 moves that you're doing in a different order of itself. And sometimes you're just using contagion. It just feels boring. I didn't even talk about the fact that she has low health because yeah, she also has a DP and a reversal super, right? Also the fact that her reversal super, right? Just like all in all, and this is subjective, right? But this super looks so boring. It just looks so boring, right? Her DP is really, really good though. You know, the fact she has a meterless DP is really, really good. But ultimately, to answer the question as to why nobody plays her anymore, if you notice, right, on Guilty Gear Strive, the rank system, if we go into the ranks for Lucy, you'll see that the highest level Lucys are 1700, right? And the reason why there's not a ton of Lucy representation, in fact, I believe if you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see that most people have just picked her up and then kind of just stopped playing her altogether, right? You see them at 1500 flat, that means they probably just got her to 1500 and then just completely dropped her in totality, which seems to be the case for a lot of people. Many top players picked up Lucy, right? She was the shiny new toy. People were really, really excited for her. Even players who are just returning to the game picked her up, right? There's somebody who I spoke to that was like, yeah, this is the only character that I want to play. She's so sick. She's really, really cool. And it just feels bad for those players who wanted to pick her up and realized, wait a minute, her game plan is just so one-dimensional, and she also just does no damage, and she has low health, and it feels like I need to hit my opponent a million times more than they need to hit me. And this is not a situation where it's like, oh well, Milia also has low damage, right? Which sometimes she really doesn't, and I feel like that needs to be addressed. But she's a character who knocks you down, sets up a mix, and does an unreactable mix, so that damage adds up over time because she's constantly hitting you, right? Yeah, it takes her 10 times to hit you, but you're not gonna see those 10 times that she hits you. For Lucy, it feels like she's a watered down version of Kai, right? Just female Kai that has way worse strike throw and way worse mix. But not all is doom and gloom. I think that she is still way better than the worst character of the last season, which was Venom or something like that. She's still a very competent character, right? I think that you can at the very least get to top 16 with her if you play well into your good matchups and kind of like really thug out your bad matchups. You're just gonna have to be a patient, neutral god to play her, and people don't really got that patience, especially when you're fighting Potemkin, Leo, Sin, all the, insert character who has way less patience than Lucy here. And well, that's about it. I really hope that Arxis does something about Lucy. Just give her a little bit of something, because right now I just feel like she's missing one special move, right? I mean, I showed you 2 of her 3 special moves. The third one was the gun, which is not even that good of a projectile, right? It's decent, but it's not the greatest. It just feels like she's missing something, right? Maybe just one extra special move to really bring her kit together. Feels like they kind of left something out. But overall, that's going to do it for your boy. Thank you so much for watching. Do you play Lucy? Let me know in the comment section down below what you would like to have her changed or have changed about her. I don't know. I'm very, very tired. I got to go to work now. Thank you very much. Hope you like, share, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Check your boy out on twitch.tv/GrandmastaJ, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.